Going to just get all the technical stuff starting. Let me make sure everyone is a presenter who should be. Awesome. We're just missing Kyle here. I'm going to hop over to YouTube, make sure the stream is going fine.
All right, Kyle's here. We can start now.
Want to sell online?
Oh,
Good.
there's those ads. Always with the ads.
You got to get your Starbucks money somehow.
I noticed that some people, like the talk shows, are getting these fundraiser snippets. I wonder how you work those, because that'd be a cool angle. You know, give the ads to charity or something.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. I'm sure Google's probably got something in the back end. It's probably, depending on your audience, will offer this to you kind of thing.
Do I sound okay, by the way? I asked Clint earlier, but there's like construction and maintenance going on everywhere.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's fine. Can't
Yeah, it sounds great. How about a sound check from you, Doug?
Hey, how's it going out there? Can everyone hear me all right?
Sounds pretty good.
Doug's sexy radio voice.
All right. Yeah, I got to have at least a voice going on.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of SEO Fight Club. Today, I don't have boilerplate slides, so we'll just do a quick round of hellos and find out what's new with Clint on SEO this week. So, Clint, what's new on SEO this week?
This week, we talked about a post about Parasite SEO. Not a new thing at all, but I just kind of went over. They had this big old list of all these possible sites, and I just kind of pointed out the ones that actually really make sense to use them for Parasite SEO. And then we talked about the core web vitals metrics that are out now that kind of all the rage because Google announced that they would make them a ranking factor. And my ideas on that and where that's going to end up.
And so if people want to watch SEO this week, how can they find it?
Go to YouTube, SEO this week, and then it's also SEO this week in Google. That helps too. So if you guys go search there, that works.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of confusion on the topic schedule. So some people might think we're talking about methods of indexing in Google. That's actually next week. This week, we're talking about affiliate SEO, which is a cooler topic in my mind. And we have a special guest, Doug Cunnington. Doug, how are you today?
Doing great. And yeah, sorry to bump the topic, but I'm glad you think it's going to be more exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely a more exciting topic. Everyone wants to know how to make money. And so there's a lot of SEOs out there who, you know, they've got the technical chops. They just don't know how to bridge that gap to making income. And I think it's a very important area. Kyle, how are you doing?
I'm doing lovely.
Excellent.
I'm homeless, but I'm doing good.
So tell everyone why you're homeless.
Well, hopefully we'll be moving to Thailand shortly, but we're basically out of our house and all of our stuff is gone. And so we're making a cross country, not just cross country, but cross the planet move. But what was really funny is, we're kind of debating on what furniture to keep, what not to keep. I've done an extended move overseas and we realized we really don't want to keep any furniture and put it in storage. You want to keep, you know, pictures and art and that kind of stuff, but otherwise the rest can go. So we're just donating the stuff. And then I got on Let Go, the app, and there's a free section. And I was like, let's put all the big furniture on, just see if somebody will walk it out the door. And I put our frame on, our bed frame. And I was like, nobody would want the mattress. And I was like, if somebody takes the frame, that's great. We'll just put the mattress on the floor and then we can. And then the first guy that comes along was like, you wouldn't want the mattress, would you? And he's like, I would. And so as my wife tells the story, she's sitting in the kitchen kind of looking through the living room and out goes our bed. And I was like, well, I guess we can't live here anymore. So we're completely out of the house now. Actually, we just loaded up the pod with the stuff that we were keeping today. Driving across country, dropping the cats off at the in-laws. And then we're just kind of sitting around kind of waiting for the border to open, Thailand. And then as soon as that happens, we'll be on a plane and go. And we're hearing wildly conflicting stories. Some July 1st things will open, some October 1st. And nobody really seems to know, including any people in the government of Thailand at the moment.
Eek, that's so scary. Well,
but it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, definitely let us know if we need to start a couch rotation.
Yeah, Kyle and his wife and kids sleep on your couch.
That's so insane. All right,
that'll go on.
So Kyle, I'll let you take the lead on this. Why don't you tell everyone what we're doing?
Right on. So we've got Doug on. We're gonna ask Doug some affiliate questions. Doug, now your site is Niche Site Project.
Yep,
and
that's right.
And you've been doing affiliate for quite some time.
Yeah, about 7 years, and I accidentally got into it after I found the Smart Passive Income podcast and completely changed my life. Basically, I had no clue about making money online or SEO or WordPress or anything. And yeah, just kind of dabbled a little bit. And then in 2015, I got laid off from my full-time gig. And my wife, luckily, she may be able to hear me, my wife let me try to do this full-time. So here we are a few years later. Things are going great. And yeah, affiliate marketing was sort of the key to success. That's the first kind of site that sort of worked out for me.
I didn't realize that you're a disciple of Pat Flynn.
Yeah, that was the gateway. I was not into entrepreneurship or anything like that. And then just found that podcast. And of course, it's like a springboard and you find a bunch of other, influencers and people to learn from. So I just went down the rabbit hole and I'm still in it. So.
That's awesome. I feel like there are a lot of parallels right now, which is why I think affiliate is very popular at the moment with the way things are going with the economy, with you saying that you were laid off or you lost your job, and that puts you in an economic situation where you need to find other sources of income. Especially if you're looking at maybe I'm working part-time or who knows when the next job will come along, and ways to supplement. So I really think, well, we appreciate you being on because I think this is very on point.
Thanks. And I know some of my peers who are talking about and teaching, some of the same things. And yeah, we can see there are more people interested in it in general, more traffic to our sites, and just people are looking. They're at home too, so they have extra time to, there's no more excuses, right? Like maybe they were sitting in traffic or there were some other details. And, if you have kids, I understand kids take a lot of time, but generally, yeah, people are digging in and looking harder at affiliate marketing and, just other ways to make money on the side.
Fantastic. So let's dive in. We tried to get some questions that, obviously I'm sure you get asked a lot of the same questions, and maybe some of these are the same questions, but we tried to get some that maybe stretch a little. But the first one here is, should I buy an existing site when I'm getting into affiliate marketing? Maybe we should define that real quick. How would you define affiliate marketing? What is that generally?
In the simplest sense, you're referring a customer or a would-be customer over to some kind of vendor, someone who's selling something. So it could be in Amazon, right? Amazon has the Associates program, which we can dig into some of the changes that happened earlier this year, just in April. And I think they're one of the major players still, but you could have referrals over to really any other company that has an affiliate program, or even if they don't have one existing, you could potentially work with a company to get something going. So it's sort of the classic business model of referrals. So that's the main idea.
Right on. So if I'm getting into the game, would it be better for me to build a brand new site or buy a domain on an existing site?
So I'm kind of in the middle.
I'm sorry, a site that already exists.
Yep, gotcha. And I'm kind of in the middle, so I'll give the pros and cons to each of those. So I think if you have the budget and you're able to buy an existing site, I think you can shortcut a lot of the early headaches and problems that may arise when you're starting a site from scratch. However, a lot of people don't have a big budget. If you want to buy a site that's earning money already, you're going to be spending a considerable amount of money. And the thing is, those issues and problems that you kind of get rid of, well, you learn a lot when you run into those troubles. And actually just, we were talking about indexing and Google penalties and stuff like that. And I've had a couple Google penalties in the past, like any good SEO, you probably got a couple in the past. And you learn a lot when you figure out how to dig yourself out of that hole, So I think there's a lot of value in having to, start at the bottom. You don't know anything. You're learning a few things, you're making a few mistakes, and then you're correcting those mistakes over time. So looking at all of that, I think if you have the budget, you can consider buying something. But again, a lot of people, if they're trying to make money on the side, they may not have, tens of thousands of dollars to like buy something that's, a turnkey situation.
I've always just kind of felt as well, if you're just new to anything, experiment on something that you don't mind burning to the ground or just really failing on. And so maybe doing it from the ground up might be a good approach if it's your very first one. I think you also would learn what to look for when you're making that purchase. If you have the cash to invest, you kind of see how they might have built the site or what some decisions they might have made along the way.
Right. And I think, it's like learning anything new, like you mentioned. If you're going to run a marathon or you're going to learn tennis or play guitar, like you can't just start awesome. You start at the bottom and you have to work your way up. And usually there's no real shortcut. So yeah, if you bought some great site that was making 10K a month, that's kind of scary. There's a lot of risk involved with that sort of purchase and that kind of money riding each month,
For sure. Yeah, you'd really need to know what you're doing immediately, even just to maintain it.
Yep.
If you go the route of buying doing a brand play, you're starting fresh. Would you recommend people go like the EMD route with an exact match keyword of the thing that they're trying to sell, or do you like more of the brand play where it's more generalized in terms of the domain name?
I like the generalized approach, and actually, I'll ask a question towards the end of my answer here. So I like the brand play because it gives you flexibility to add more products and grow and potentially sell your own products. And it just gives you way more flexibility if you work on a brand. If you're going to sell it, you also have, that's a piece of value that it is flexible to grow versus an EMD style. Now, do a lot of people still use EMDs for, I guess, some specific uses, Kyle?
I think they do.
Okay. Yeah. Now I'm a little further away from the, sort of technical SEO side, which all you guys are,
I think what people see is that
experts.
EMDs still perform quite well. And there are many reasons for why that might happen, but it could be that simply by getting, say, your target keyword in there, every time you write a link, you've got it in. And so it kind of may give you a free pass, if you will, on getting the keyword in on the page a lot more than you would be able to naturally. And so perhaps that's why they work quite well.
And my domain's niche site project. So niche site is kind of good to have in my domain name. So I see how that works. Yeah.
Finding out, maybe you found the best of both. The brand that is also the thing. What would you estimate it costs to start an affiliate website to get all the way to a sale? So like $1 in, what do you typically expect to outlay? Now, obviously I'm sure you have a better system than the person that's just getting involved in it, and I'm sure it'll be more expensive on your first than the 10th one you build, but what maybe are you expecting to spend when you get a site started?
Usually a few $100s. So I'll break it down for you. And you get hosting. So probably you can get a year's worth of hosting for under $100, shop around for a deal. There's a few things you need for assuming a WordPress site. You probably want to get a premium theme. Maybe you want to spring for a couple of plugins that are specifically helpful. I usually, use one of the themes that I've already purchased in the past and sort of have an unlimited number of licenses, but it's like $70. So under $100 again. And I do like a couple of the premium SEO tools. So for keyword research, I really enjoy Keyword Finder, but a lot of them are really good. That just happens to be one that I use in multiple pieces and stages. So I like that one. And Hrefs. I think Hrefs is sort of more of a premium product. There's a lot of data, especially for a newer person. Like it's probably overwhelming. So I would maybe hold off on that one for a little while. So first couple months, I think, a lot of times you'll be able to get a sale if you take an approach of, it's kind of a project management agile approach where you're publishing a little content, doing a little promotion, do a little link building so that you sort of have a complete product as soon as possible. And I kind of view that as like a phase of work. So publish content, do some promotion, and with a modest amount of content, say, 15, 20, 30 posts, something like that, you should be able to get some traffic and make, one sale or a couple sales to make a few bucks.
I would think that the content would be perhaps the most expensive part of that.
Yes. And so good point. I kind of skipped over that part. That's assuming you write at least some of it yourself.
Yeah.
If you are hiring writers, it could cost anywhere from say $25 to, $200 if it's a fully outsourced company. So for each 1,000-word article roughly, or 1,500 words roughly. So if you can write some yourself, that's a great way to keep the cost a little lower. And I think there's some value in understanding how to format the content, how to write it. If you're not an expert in the content area yet, you can learn about it as you're writing, as you're researching. So when you do have the capital to invest in writers, at least if they're producing good content. Otherwise, you're just kind of like, I guess it's fine. I don't know anything about, mixology or something like that.
So I would say content that probably needs to be edited. Like, let's say somebody just wrote the 1,000-piece for you, but you'd still want to go in and maybe edit for brand and tone and maybe native English speaking type considerations, and then maybe throw some SEO on top. But probably 3 cents to 5 cents a word might be a reasonable number. At 5 cents a word, 1,000 word thing is $50. 10 of those is $500 right there, just in terms of, I can see how the cost of the site itself, getting your hosting up and getting stuff like that, that's relatively inexpensive. That's definitely a couple $100. Where maybe the cost would really come in is, but if you can do all the writing yourself, that cuts the whole thing out.
Yep. And you're exactly right. There's like almost no upper limit for how much you can spend. The bare minimum, like you're saying, is going to be a few hundred. And then the content is where you can really, spend a lot of money.
And it's an interesting thing if you're guessing somewhere, I think, as I understood, around 20-ish articles, say 15 to 30, maybe you said. So somewhere around 20 articles maybe is where $1 comes from. That's a great number then to play with on what you might have to, like, is it worth my time just to type it, or is it worth my time to outsource it?
Yep.
This is actually a question directly from Ted.
All right.
And because Ted likes to get down to a lot of ROI considerations, which is exactly where I think a lot of things should be. His question is, since getting a sale seems to be the hardest part of the whole cycle. You can build, you can choose the niche, which obviously the considerations there. You can build it, you can get it going, but getting to the sale might be the hardest part of it. Would it be smarter to take the time to source a product where then you are getting, say, 70% of that sale versus going with an affiliate program where you might only get 4% of the sale? So I guess his argument or his thought is, if you're spending about the same amount of time to get a sale, should you maybe go with something that where you can get more of the revenue?
Got it. So I'm kind of in the middle on this one too. And I've definitely stayed on the affiliate side. So the advantage on the affiliate side is you don't have to do any customer service. There's no fulfillment. I don't have to mess with products. I don't have to think about all those details on the other side of the supply chain. I'm just sort of like the top end of the marketing. And that's where it ends completely. So there's a lot of headaches that you get rid of. However, you're right. Ted's right. The commission, the actual like profit margin is going to be way smaller. I mean, if you're looking at Amazon now, you're probably looking at like 3-4%, like on the good side. A lot of the commission rate changes like pushed a lot of those commissions down. So potentially, yes, especially if you have data on products that are sold and you already have an existing site, and maybe you can make a deal or source that product yourself. However, you do pick up all those extra responsibilities. So that's the main part for me. Now, the other thing is if you're trying to do this on the side, all those other responsibilities stack up quick,
Sure.
definitely overwhelming, and you're going to make mistakes along the way, like anything as you're learning. Could be a awesome, valuable skill set to have. And perhaps, a lot of folks that have SEO skills or agency skills and kind of know how to get traffic and build a site. If you already know how to do a lot of stuff, then maybe going to product sales directly in physical products is a smart move, but you just have to know, like, hey, I need to spend a little more time. There's going to be maybe some staff to hire for email support, customer support, maybe actually answering phones, which those are all outsourceable things, problems to solve. So,
but that does decrease the profit margin because you're servicing on the back end, and it's also an unpredictable service. And you don't know how much that will cost on the back end to actually manage and take care of.
Yep, exactly. And I think, we mentioned it before, probably the right way to do it is to start small, grow organically, kind of understand each piece of the role. That way you can outsource it a little more effectively. At least you know what actually has to be done when you get those emails in or you get a phone call. You understand how to close the deal or answer those questions. So you could pick your poison. Like there's downsides to each one of affiliate marketing or selling the products yourself.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it would sound like if you get to the point where you're really comfortable with the website part of it, with the sales part of it, that might be a point then sourcing yourself, because then you would have the resources already to manage this end, and now you can then explore managing kind of the other end of it.
Yes. And I think you just triggered another thought there, Kyle. If you start with affiliate marketing, it's sort of like, the top end of the marketing portion. Once you do that, you potentially could go a little deeper and then head over to, say, drop shipping. So you're selling more like physical products, a little higher commission rate, but it's drop shipped from a manufacturer or some other place. You don't have to worry about some of the details. You pick up a few more, but not as many. And then to actually source
what is the difference between like affiliate, as you're talking about, and drop shipping?
So drop shipping, and I haven't done any drop shipping myself, but typically those goods are sold through your website, and then they're sent, and you handle the customer support and some of the other details, and then it's shipped from either the manufacturer or some wholesaler or supplier. So you manage it a little bit further, and potentially your commissions are, significantly higher from that.
Perfect. In your experience, like in your personal experience, how long did it take, or how many affiliate sites did it take before you realized this was a full-time gig? Because as you said, you had lost your job and then you pulled this in. At what point did you realize, I don't need to get another job?
Sure.
How long did that take? Or was it maybe a certain number of sites that you had running that were profitable?
So I think it was probably for me around 6 months, give or take, and it was just one site. So a lot of times what happens is one site, maybe you have 4 of them going like I did, and one of them takes off. And then just because it's working, you spend more time on that one. And then slowly, if you're focused enough, you could ignore those other ones and just keep focusing on the one that's working. And typically that's what I suggest to people. Like, don't try to start a bunch of sites, especially all at the same time. What can happen, especially if you're new, is you end up making the same mistake on each one of the sites, like multiple times. And then you've just escalated the problem there. You've scaled the problem instead of like learning from the mistake and then not doing it again. So definitely from an ROI standpoint, if you just focus on the one site for a little bit longer than you think. I mean, most people never hit the potential. I'm sure I've never hit the potential on any of my sites. And if you just stick with it a little bit longer, most sites can make way more than you imagine, especially in those early months where things are kind of slow. And you're telling your friends and family about all the work that you're doing. They're like, great, how much have you made? You're like, $65. They're like, what are you doing, man? You spent like 600 hours on that. That's all you've been talking about for months. So go slow. You probably only need one site, especially if you brand it broadly, because you can expand to other product lines. You can go digital products and, sell info products as an affiliate, and the sky's the limit when you hit that sort of stuff.
I was just thinking of all the times I've had a conversation with somebody and I can just see the look in their eyes like, what the is this guy doing? Yeah.
It sounds crazy. And then, well, I won't go on a huge tangent.
That's all right. That's it. All right, let's get into some darker arts. How hard is it to launch jack? And is that something that someone should look into doing? And maybe we should define launch jacking.
It sounded kind of dirty to me at first, but yeah, why don't you define it?
Well, it's like somebody's launch is about to happen for a product, and then you create a page that maybe you outrank their page for that particular launch. So when somebody searches for, the automated whatever 3000, you show up ahead of them, and you're an affiliate of theirs, and then you get the commission for it.
Gotcha. So I haven't done that before. In fact, it's good that you defined it here. I actually got advanced copy of some of the questions. I was like, what's this, Matt, now? So I haven't done that. And my question would be, at least for my products, I control the affiliate program. So if someone was doing that, I'd be like, no, you can't do that. That's crazy. Like if they were intentionally trying to do it. Now it may have happened because I don't try to do SEO on my actual course or anything. So it could have happened here and there, but generally, it's better to have a good relationship with the people that you're working with. So I would probably, tread lightly on that and make sure you get sort of approval. And the exact question was, how hard is it? I'm not sure. I think probably a pretty good approach. I do a lot on YouTube, and a good approach would be to do a few videos on YouTube, and you probably can get some traffic that way. I mean, a lot of people use YouTube for search, and I think it's probably a good route. Taking it one step further, just thinking of my own email list, you could probably send out an email blast, get a lot of views on those videos, maybe send some to your blog post, and just get just more traffic and interaction on those pages. So maybe that would be helpful.
With things like cookie stuffing, which is a black hat affiliate marketing tactic, do you know, not that you would do this, but do you know if they still work? Are people still doing those types of things?
I don't know. I have a feeling maybe not in sort of the bigger programs out there. I think if you were working with a bigger program, that would represent a huge amount of risk if you got busted, because I'm sure they don't like for people to do that. So I have a feeling that would just that would be a poor long-term strategy. I
wouldn't disagree. Let me fire one more question, and then because we're coming up on 30 minutes and there are a lot of questions that people have asked. So do you take EAT factors into consideration when you're building your sites? I think one of the biggest problems with affiliate sites is being a real site, and that often that the person using their home address as is their work address, and they don't want to necessarily put that on a website to satisfy perhaps an EAT consideration. Where are you at with any of that kind of things? Are you trying to make your sites look real?
I do try to make them look like a blog, and like a real blog by a real person. And, at some time in the past, in my early blogs, I did actually use my own picture, my own name and stuff like that. And I think it's probably kind of normal for someone with a blog to maybe not put their home address. So I think that's probably okay. However, I think some of the other areas of just trust and authority and having like a knowledgeable person at the helm, probably a good idea. So, and I've seen examples of sites where maybe it was sort of on the edge of your money or your life type topic, kind of on the edge. And it was a unqualified person with no credentials, but they had a great platform where they were interviewing experts. They were referencing journal studies, good research, good writing. And they didn't seem to have any issues, although I haven't checked in the last few weeks, but they didn't seem to have any issues ranking in Google and just looking like a trustworthy site. So I think if you just sort of imagine if you were searching for a product and information on a product, and you landed on a site, would you actually trust it? Because I've trusted some, personal blogger type folks out there that may or may not have had credentials. So that's kind of the way I look at it. Okay. And I don't put an address on there or a phone number or any of those sort of more, trust sort of factors that are critical information, really.
Would you say that most of your sites are not in any of those kind of danger niches, or do you still play in some of those? Danger, I mean,
that's correct.
Like the medic type, the things that are your money or your life. Okay.
Yeah, I stay far away from that. Yeah.
All right. So there are a bunch of questions that came in, so I'm going to jump into those, and I'll try to organize them as I can. One of the things you're most known for is the keyword golden ratio. Would you say that's one of the biggest things that put you on the map? Like, you kind of came out with that, and then was that one of the kind of light bulb moments you were like, people know this is Doug and this is his concept?
Yeah. I had that inside my course for a little while before I released it, and I was sort of struggling with, whether or not to like let out that information. And then I was like, let's just do it. Let's get it out there. And then, it put me on the map. But, a lot of people, I mean, it took like 3 years for anyone to pay attention, by the way. So like, it wasn't just a cool name. Like, it actually works. A lot of people have success. Some people, struggle with it, or maybe it doesn't work for them, but a lot of people had it work. It worked for them. They told other folks about it. So I think that was sort of the key. But yeah, KGR definitely got people to pay attention. Has golden ratio in there, even though it's unrelated to any sort of golden ratio that we may have heard of in the past.
It's golden. It's ratio. It's a math keyword. I'm an SEO. It's like that's a cycle of branding right there.
It makes you think. Yeah.
Do you still use it in your process when you're doing it?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I still do. It's, some people get the impression that that's like the only thing I do, and I'm like dogmatic about it, but it's one of the tools in our toolbox, and it's a good way, especially for beginners, to just remove a lot of the details. Like, I've had folks say, hey, why don't you add these factors, add a couple more details in there, and it'll be more accurate. Well, I don't know if it'll be more accurate, but it definitely makes it more complicated and look more complex. So I think part of it is just simplicity, couple numbers, divide them, fairly straightforward. So I think that's why
you're still getting decent results with it.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite place to find new affiliate offers to promote? And this is kind of like a tied-in question to Amazon. Has kind of recently, as you mentioned, changed their payment structure. So would you still stick with Amazon? Do you not like Amazon? Do you look for other places as well? Those kind of questions.
Great question. Yep. So for the people that don't know, on April 21st, Amazon changed the commission rate structure. Generally, it lowered it by anywhere from, say, 30 to 50% for some affiliates. So I look in, the bigger marketplaces. So Share a Sale, Commission Junction, Impact Radius. And once you start looking, I mean, I was lazy for a long time, but once you start looking for other programs, there's a lot of them out there. A lot of times it's a higher commission rate, it's a longer cookie period, and generally they want to work with you. They want to sell products. So if you go shopping around and have a look, you should be able to find some. And even if you don't see a public facing affiliate program, there's still a chance that they want to work with you. So there's no harm in reaching out and trying to figure out if you guys can work together in some capacity. And I was recently, I started working with and chatting with basically a company that works for the retailers. And they sort of work as a proponent for the retailers to help find publishers like us to either be affiliates. And most of the time, if you work with a person like that, they can get you higher commission rates than the average or just the vanilla mid-tier, whatever you're dealing with. Plus, a lot of these companies want to do extra brand deals, whether you have a social media presence and you can share on social, or maybe you have a podcast or some other part of your platform, or want to do like a sponsored post. Again, they want to sell stuff. And I didn't know there was this marketing branch, this industry where they sit in between basically the retailers and the affiliates and help bridge the gap, because it's sometimes hard for us. We don't know what they want, and they may not trust us. I mean, there's some odd publishers out there, right? So
How do you find those kind of people that are in the middle? Or is that like private
So-
information?
yeah, currently it's private, and it'll actually be a little teaser. I'm working on a new course with IMG out there, so it'll be within that. It's sort of, because it's proprietary information,
Yeah.
it does need to be inside somewhere. But
I can't wait to watch your course.
yeah, hopefully it's good. I'm glad I'm teasing it well. Yeah, it's stuff you can't find anywhere else. Basically.
Fantastic. Kind of I guess maybe along that. So you only work with products that offer an affiliate. Like, you don't do any client side work or any kind of consulting or anything like that?
Very little like one-on-one coaching, only if I can help folks out specifically. So I always try to make sure, but yeah, no client work.
If you're just starting out with the site, so in that situation where you're starting a brand new site, and you kind of have the idea of maybe money keywords, like I definitely want to own this one, and then kind of long tailor keywords, do you have a mix on what you like to go with? Like, let's just do pages for these big guys. Let's do all these pages for these longer ones because they'll rank faster. Do you have any thoughts on a mix or an approach that you take?
Early on, I like to do roughly 70 to 80% of the longer tail, and then shorter tail, higher volume keywords, 20 to 30% roughly. And another thing, I mean, I'm not going to plug the course too much, but I am thinking about this literally right now. I'm building a site alongside all the students in the course. So we're going to be in the trenches together. I already know the site that I'm going to do. And as I'm doing like more and more research, I'm like, oh man, did I bite off more than I could chew? It's very scary. A lot of pressure on me to do this, but yeah, so about 70 to 80% of the long tail early on. It's really important to get some momentum built. Even if you've done this a few times, I mean, I want to get traffic early, not just because people are going to be watching me do it, but if you're starting your first site, I mean, again, you don't want to have to, tell your friends or your spouse or whoever that you've been working on this site forever and you still get zero traffic after 6 months. Like, we want to make sure you're getting traffic early. Those long tail keywords, KGR keywords, are super helpful to make that happen.
Excellent. The same person, they also asked a question about using a brand new site versus a domain. And so the person that asked that was actually kind of answered earlier. So I would recommend watching this from the beginning, because that was one of the original questions, as well as the person that asked about using EMDs in 2020. That was also answered earlier. Just so you know, I'm not ignoring your questions. Just check out the replay on this at the beginning. Going back to Eat real quick, do you have any issues if somebody wants to use a virtual address so that they can put that on as like a business address? Have you any experience with that?
No experience with that. I know sometimes when people register businesses, they'll use a proxy. Actually, a lot of people use, I think Wyoming is a very popular state because of I guess it's cheap to form a company or something like that there. And there's a lot of companies that can do that. So if you wanted to go that route, that's real. Yeah. And the funny, complete side tangent here, but I was looking at some of the IMG material and I was like, oh, Sheridan, Wyoming, super small town. But I used to live in Montana and I moved to the Boulder County area in Colorado. I've driven through Sheridan like several times. It was a good stopping point, and I would walk my dog in the dog park there. So I'm pretty sure I was on the street where IMG offices are.
If you're ever anywhere near Gould Street, if you were to look that up, thousands upon thousands of businesses are somehow on Gould Street in Sheridan.
It's insane. Yeah. And it's just like sleepy little town. I think there's a Walmart maybe, they're everywhere. So
bigger than I thought it would be.
Yeah. So did I answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
How long before you felt like you knew what you were doing? I think you said at 6 months you could definitely make a career out of this, but at what point did you get the confidence in the decisions that you were making?
I'll let you know when I hit that point. So I think the more I learned, the more I realized I didn't really know what was going on. So I think, Kyle, do you feel that way every now and then too?
No, I know exactly what I'm doing all the time.
Okay. All right. I revised my answer. It was about 6 months ago. It takes 6.5 years and then you're good to go. So I think probably After a year or so, like if you're really studying and dedicating time to, test some things and get experience, there's only so many hours that you should spend learning, and then you have to implement to kind of understand what it's like with boots on the ground and you're actually doing something. So I hit the ground running, and I started my first site probably a month after I found Smart Passive Income, because I was obsessed. So I think if you have an obsessive personality and you really get into it, probably in a year you could be pretty proficient in a lot of the areas here.
Something that I teach a lot about is siloing. Feel free to disagree with that concept. Would not hurt my feelings at all. But when you talk about that 15 to 30 blog posts that you want to set up, are you siloing them in a certain way? Are they living kind of as their own top level pages? Is there any kind of structure that you put into those?
Yep, I like siloing, and I think, I don't know exactly how I'll structure it, but yeah, I would love to have, say, 4 to 8 sort of supporting articles for some of the larger keywords, so that, of course, you build some relevance on those topics, and they can all help each other. You're linking in a very intentional way, which I think is a good move, especially with a young site.
All right. Sounds good. Let's go one more question, and then I think we'll be good. Is this course that you've got, and this is a great final one, let's pitch the course. Would it be good for anybody that's actually looking to sell their own product, like where they could learn, like obviously it's their own thing, so it's not an affiliate program, but would it be good for them on how to actually sell their own stuff, or should it really just be for people that are looking at affiliate offers that they want to bring in?
Okay. And can you, I want to ask a follow-up question while I start answering, and then maybe Kyle, you could feed that to me in a second.
Okay.
Does this person already have a product in mind and developed, or is it just like, hey, I want to sell my own products? So, okay.
Terry, I hope you heard that. If you fire it in real quick, I'll get that into Doug.
Yep. And I'll just start talking. So the course focus is really around multiple monetization strategies. I talked about Amazon affiliate sites for 6 years or so, and I love them. But with Amazon changing the commission rate structure, we have to pivot. Now, luckily, there's a lot of other options. Some of those other affiliate programs that I talked about, there's tons of them. You just have to go find them. And display ads, which are great for monetizing informational content. I have several friends making, $10,000 to say $40,000 per month from display ads. So it's a completely viable option. It's not an overnight thing by any means, but the cool part is when you are selling affiliate products, if it's from Amazon or if you're selling for other vendors, or you actually have informational content where it's just display ads, you kind of have a handle on what the market is doing. Plus, the best niches will have digital products, so software and courses. Courses are kind of exploding again with COVID-19 and a lot of people quarantined. A lot of people are just trying to learn different things, and they're doing it online because they can't go, to their community college or whatever. So with that said, the course will be a good sort of way to lay the foundation for selling your own products. In fact, on the site that I'm going to create, I am planning on selling my own products, but it'll probably be in a year. All right. It'll be after I have the foundation set. So I think the course can work for selling your own products, but maybe not early on, because you have to build up that audience first.
The person says that this product has already been developed.
Okay. In that case, I think the course probably won't be a perfect fit for you. I think you can still learn things about building a site and a foundation, but it'll be a little more scattered up front. And if you already know what you're selling, then there's a good chance you can build an audience directly for that product by focusing on the funnel and the right kind of traffic that will actually buy that product at the end of the day. So course, probably not a good fit for that person.
Fair enough. All right, Doug, thank you so much for being on the show. Super appreciate it. I think I did your show almost a year ago today, I feel like. It had to have been like within a month, maybe somewhere.
Has it been that long? Yeah, well, I guess we're due. Are you driving through Colorado, or is it not on the way?
It's on the way, but we're taking the 10, so we're going the low route. So you go through Texas rather than going up and over.
All right. It's cooler up here. You got the mountains, dry air. Well, it's dry down there.
Do it.
So.
I want to do it. The problem is we've got 2 cats. We'll be in the car. We need to hurry.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll have you back on soon. And it was a pleasure, speaking with you.
And awesome. And so you do have a course coming out in IMG. When does that launch? I actually don't know.
All right. So there's a couple pieces here. We're doing a challenge, and that starts next Monday, June the 8th. On Monday, we're going to do 3 live sessions, and that'll be Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And basically the goal is to learn about the good parts of niche sites and the right way to find niches that have multiple revenue streams. So that's sort of the focus. Find a niche with multiple revenue streams. So we're going through that. And then on the 12th through the 19th, enrollment is open. Now, the cool part is if you do join the challenge and you do the homework assignments, there's a couple homework assignments, you have a chance to win free enrollment into the course. So definitely want to hop onto the challenge.
Fantastic. That's awesome. That's so cool. Like the a 5-day challenge, let's build a site and go. Like, how long does it take to build a site? 5 days. Let's do it. That's really, truly fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Hey, what's up? Ted's back on.
Hey, so I just wanted to ask, this 5-day challenge, is it open for anyone? Can anyone watching join this?
Yes. Yep. So I don't know if we have a link somewhere. Someone can get you a link. Yeah, you can sign up. And there's a thread in IMG, and we're all hanging out there getting ready to do the challenge.
All right. Awesome. So if you don't know what IMG is, you can't Google that. It'll take you somewhere else. It's internetmarketing.gold is the domain name. It's free to join, so you can go find the challenge post and find the instructions from there.
Very cool. Yeah, it'll be awesome to have folks in. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. I was just saying thank you so much for being on the show. This was a great topic. Makes me want to go make money.
Yeah, you should hop in the challenge. And yeah, it was a pleasure. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, Doug. Ted, did you want to do any final sign off, or should we just?
No, we'll hop out to networking. We'll give people back their lunch hour. And thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week, and we'll see you in IMG for that 5-day challenge.
Sounds good.